Robinson. I'm president of the Freedmen's Town Preservation Coalition, and I'm here today to read a statement regarding our meeting with the mayor on yesterday. During a meeting with the Freedmen's Town Preservation Coalition, Mayor Anise Parker refused to use the power awarded her in the city charter to rescind the contract that she and all 16 city council members approved regarding these brick streets, these historic brick streets on June 11th. Instead, the mayor is maintaining a non-preservation and a non-trenchless position. Each Tuesday since July 1 through yesterday, community members and organizations have pleaded our cause before the mayor and the city council to educate them about the National Historic Preservation Act, Section 106 and 110. We have come in the spirit of common ground before the council during its public hearing sessions, pleading with and advising the city to follow the Federal Historic National Preservation Act, a law that was established in 1966 that governs historic traditional properties, which these brick streets are. The coalition alleges that the city has not followed that law and therefore is in violation of the federal action. At this time, because of this probable violation, the National Historic Advisory Council is investigating the city's actions. The matter of the brick streets have been an issue for many years, and in 2007, former Mayor Bill White and Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, joined by a Freedmen's Town task force, brokered an agreement that has been overlooked by the Mayor Parker and this administration. The White administration had agreed to develop plans that would use $500,000 secured by Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee to use technology for placing infrastructure under the sidewalks instead of under the streets. Besides preserving the streets that are protected under Sections 106 and 110, the National Historic Preservation Act, which the city is obligated to be the steward of the traditional historic property, these streets, the city has continually mishandled its responsibility by patching them, and the coalition believes that this is an anticipatory demolition strategy that is the forerunner of a taking of a traditional historic property, a resource that was left by our ancestors. With each cut in the street, it damages the traditional historic property. We're asking the city to preserve and repair in place. Do not lift, do not remove these bricks left by our forefathers for this community as an asset. We now have the available technology. We have the available technology. We are now in need of only to have the will to protect this historic site. Beyond the press conference, we will press on to continue to educate the people of this city with teach-ins, explaining the law and the value of these historic bricks. We will call on the mayor and the city council each Tuesday to bring clarity to the group. We will seek assistance from other local, state, and national groups to aid us in the struggle of preservation. We will comb through the National Historic Preservation Act and the National Environmental Protection Act to learn what violations have been made beyond what we've already shared with her. We will also comb through the Civil Rights Act to see what violations have been made because of the property of this historic designated area. Currently, the coalition maintains that the city is in violation of the National Historic Preservation Act, and the Advisory Council has it under investigation. In the meantime, in an effort to obtain and keep the options open, we will meet with the new head of the City of Houston Public Works Department, who was hired today, to discuss the matter further on Thursday at 6 p.m. at City Hall. I'll take questions.
Doris? What will be lost if these bricks are ripped up and taken away from this community?
We lose the sense of place. We lose the legacy that these ingenious forefathers left for us. We lose the spirit of their hope because they gave us a symbol of hope. We no longer will have any physical manifestation of their work to know that they landed in this place and they built an area for them. This was their community. And most of the native Houstonians stem from this community. So they have root in this community. And what we also lose is a destination point for others to come, to show that Houston should be proud of its legacy that was left behind as a resource for all of us.
Doris, why is the mayor and the city council ignoring the will of the community?
Well, maybe our community tend not to speak as often as we should, and maybe they are not accustomed to our community standing up for what we believe is right. But when you touch on something that's so historic, you have to move forward and let them know. And I think they also made a decision that was uninformed. I don't believe they really knew what was in this act, this National Historic Preservation Act. I don't think they knew what they were stewards of. And with them making the decision that's counter to what they should have been the stewards of, it's tough to bring them back. But the Freedmen's Town Preservation Coalition, we feel it's our responsibility to press forward and get them back to the table to rescind that action that they took on June 11th and say, let's do it right, so we can have it here for the future of these kids like we have it.
They have taken so-called pragmatic position that this is the only viable way in terms of dollars and cents. They say that tunneling is too expensive. Do you disagree with that?
Totally, I disagree. Tunneling is not too expensive because we started doing it in Houston in 1986. We did it in River Oaks. So we know how to do it. We were one of the premier communities throughout the nation who selected tunneling as an option. It's a good option for us. Should they tunnel, we can get rid of these power poles. Everything can be underground because we didn't have these power poles in 1913. And we have a foundation of perseverance after a struggle, or through a struggle, because it took these men and women to raise this money to place these bricks. It took them going before council in 1913, 6 years before the city said yes. And they continued to do it. They continually went to city council and said, we want to improve our neighborhood. And that's what we're saying today. And since we are the descendants of those people, we should have the ability to do at least similarly to what they did. Because we should understand that what they left for us is something that we should care about, love enough, fight for, and to assure that we would leave it for generations to come.
Did I hear you say that they were willing to tunnel in River Oaks, but they're not willing to tunnel in Freedmen?
Exactly. And they have already issued 3 other contracts for tunneling in this city right now. I think the first one starts in September. So they can do it if they have the will. And so we need to work with them to explain and make sure they understand that they should have the will to do it all here also. Because this was the first place that the Freedmen landed right after slavery. They came and built this community.
You spoke face to face with the mayor last night?
Yes, we did.
What did she say? How did she explain this to you? How did she hear what you had to say? A compelling, articulate, compassionate request. What did she say to you?
She said that she had made her decision, and she came in saying that she had made her decision, and that they were here, and I guess at some point in an article in the Chronicle they had said it was a functionary meeting, I guess, or whatever the purpose was. But maybe she felt that she did due diligence by meeting with us, but that's not good enough. The due diligence is to use the technology that's available. When I came to Houston, I looked before I landed here. There were 18 universities in Houston when I came here 30 years ago. And I said, well, darn, I can go to school anywhere and learn whatever. It's so she's got to recognize we have far more than a university town. We can learn all kinds of things. So as we learn, we do better. And we can do better because of what opportunities our young people, our older people can bring forward to us. Engineering has changed. And if they want to do it, they can make the way to do it. Let me tell you what I was thinking as I was going home last night. The mayor showed us the pictures with all the patch holes. And remember, the Section 110 says it's the city's responsibility to be in charge of the stewards of this street because we have a historic preservation designation. That's been since 1984. And so every time they did a patch, they did not take care of their stewardship. Okay? Now, if these do not put this infrastructure that's badly needed under the sidewalks, they're going to have to return to the streets that they've worked on and tear them up again. And that does not make economic sense. It does not make preservation sense for us, but further, it does not make economic sense because every time they tear, they've got to try to rebuild and replace and all that kind of stuff, and that should not be done. They can take the least restrictive way of managing this because they have an opportunity to do it, providing the new infrastructure by placing it under the sidewalk. And then they won't have to be dealing with us having these press conferences.
I'll ask one last question.
Okay.
For those people who watch our report, hear about this decision by the mayor, what are you asking them to do about their heritage?
I am glad you asked that question because I'm very happy that all 16 of them voted for it because what they have done for within our community, they would do it in any community. And so we need to learn from each other, and we have an opportunity for all of those citizens throughout the city to contact their city council person and ask them to urge, pledge, and do whatever it takes to get the mayor to rescind this action and let her take the leadership and follow the charter. She has the ability to do it. So we need her to be just as enthusiastic about this project as she was about the previous HERO legislation that she worked on so diligently. This is at least as deserving as that. And we're hopeful that she will understand the critical nature and she can be a leader of historic preservation in this city. She can do that. And she has a direct tie to this African American heritage right now. She has a direct tie to it, and she needs to make sure she takes care of it. And that's what we're trying to get her to understand. We need her to do that. And we're asking the citizens to ask her to join us in this effort because this history is all of our history. It's everybody's history. And as long as we understand we're all in it together, that we have a better city. And everybody will bring that folk down here and say, well, look what they did in Houston back in 1913. And that's significant. That shows that our brains were working back then and they had enough sense to leave something for us today. And we must have enough sense to keep it for the next generation.
City tax dollars didn't pay for these bridges.
That's right.
They paid out of their own pocket.
Out of their own pocket. They were sincere about improving their community. And we have to be equally sincere at this time.